DRUDDIGON. I figure I should put at least one dragon type on here, and this guy is pretty cool looking. This guy feels more like a fierce dragon than, say, Dragonair. From what I remember of Black and White, he's not available until very late in the game, but he's very strong and useful from there on out. VANILLITE. Some people hate VANILLITE because he is a Pokemon made of ice cream. I really love VANILLITE because he's a Pokemon made of ice cream. TORTERRA. I'm all about grass-type starter Pokemon. And turtles. This is a turtle grass-type starter Pokemon. Nuff said. Yeah, he's a bit too Me Too-ish, that you can't help but be reminded of Bulbasaur, but I think this guy looks cooler. I mean, he has a whole tree growing off his back, whereas Venusaur and Ivysaur just get a flower. MUSHARNA. Musharna and Muna are weird psychic types that, for reasons I don't even really understand myself, I took a liking to very quickly. I like psychic-type Pokemon, but man, do these things look odd. SHUCKLE. Okay, look, I don't know anything about SHUCKLE. I don't know if I've ever used him for very long on my team or anything like that. But look at this guy. This weirdo. How can you not like SHUCKLE? Charizard. I never used Charizard in the old games because I would go with a grass starter, but there's no denying that Charizard is a cool-looking and powerful Pokemon. The cartoon definitely factors in here too, and you can't help but like Ash's tough Charizard. Blaziken. I usually go with grass-type starters, but I made an exception for Torchic, because he was a cute fire chicken. Blaziken is a great fire and fighting Pokemon, and both fire and fighting types are usually ones I skip over in my teams, so he was useful for me to have. MEOWTH. Specifically MEOWTH from the Team Rocket team. I never really use MEOWTH in-game, I just like him because of Team Rocket's MEOWTH from the cartoon. I also like the tough guy accent, and their theme just wouldn't be complete without his MEOWTH, that's right. Mew. This one is a favorite more for the memories of getting him than anything. In Pokemon Red and Blue, it's not possible to get a Mew in the game legitimately. So Nintendo did a Pokemon tour in 1999, I believe, that advertised a Mew giveaway. I drove out to the King of Prussia Mall and waited in a huge line that took forever. Back then, since it was on the original Game Boy, they had to use a link cable and connect with each person individually, so it took a really long time. But it was worth it to get the legendary Mew and a certificate of authenticity to go along with it. DUGTRIO. I don't use them too much anymore, but for the first couple of games I really liked having a Diglett or DUGTRIO on the team. The Dig move is pretty powerful, and he's useful when you inevitably go up against an electric-based Pokemon gym. Darkrai. I first got Darkrai in a giveaway event at GameStop, I believe. He's strong, and he can put enemies to sleep and then use his Nightmare to slowly take away their health while they sleep. Bulbasaur. My first Pokemon starter will always be a favorite of mine. It doesn't hurt that it looks turtleish and I love turtles. Bulbasaur started a trend where I almost always choose a grass type in my Pokemon games. Pikachu. This one probably needs no explanation, but Pikachu is usually on my team for the entire game. His electric attacks are strong, he can stun, and quick attack all work together to make a pretty well-rounded Pokemon. But let's be honest, I keep him on the team because of the cartoon. Haunter. I'm partial to ghost Pokemon, and Haunter was an early favorite of mine. I usually keep at least one ghost on my team, and Haunter was a mate of mine through Blue and Yellow. Normal and fighting moves can't touch him, and he puts enemies to sleep, then uses Dream Eater to damage them and gain back health. STARMIE. STARMIE has a great set of moves it can learn that cover a lot of bases. First I give it Surf for a good water attack, and STARMIE doubles as my transportation across water. Next it's got Psychic, because Psychic, especially in earlier games like Blue, is pretty overpowered. Next, he's got Ice Beam, which is really strong, works against dragon types, and has a chance of freezing an opponent. Finally, he's got Recover to keep him in the battle longer. STARMIE also has pretty good defense, making him a great all-around fighter. Chandelure. For a while I didn't want to evolve my Litwick past its cute self, but eventually I bit the bullet and ended up really taking a liking to Chandelure. I'm partial to Grass, Psychic, and Ghost types, and I think Chandelure looks really cool. The fact that he's a Ghost Fire is useful since I almost always neglect Fire on my team. KADABRA. Catching a Psychic Pokemon early on in the game can give you a huge advantage, so I will drive myself crazy trying to catch a Wild Abra, and then evolve it so it can get some useful moves. He's been a staple of mine ever since Pokemon Blue. Smeargle. This guy can learn any move that's used against it, and I use mine as the perfect Pokemon catching Pokemon. First, he's got Mean Look, so wild Pokemon can't escape. Then he's got Spore, which has a 100% chance of putting Pokemon to sleep. However, Spore doesn't work against grass types, which is why he has Soak, which turns any Pokemon's type to water. Then he's got False Swipe, which will never take away a foe's final hit point. With this combo, I can put a Pokemon to sleep and take them down to 1 hit point before throwing out a Pokeball, giving me the best chance of catching them. Tentacool. Ever since the first game, Tentacool has been one of my favorites, based purely on looks alone. But with Surf and Poison attacks, he's also very useful. Sure, I'd usually evolve him into Tentacruel for the power boost, but I'd feel bad doing it. Butterfree. I never really used Butterfree for very long in previous playthroughs, but when I went back to play Pokemon Yellow recently, having only played Blue before, I found myself at a severe disadvantage against Brock, having only my Pikachu and a few other Pokemon. When I evolved my Butterfree, it learned a Psychic move and suddenly became my main battler. Between Psychic and its Stun, Spore, and Poison attacks, it could pretty much destroy anything.